Welcome to Spiritual Psychology. My name is Renee LaValle McKenna, and I bring my 30-plus years as a recovering addict and ex-crazy person turned therapist and shamanic healer to bring you snackable teachings on spirituality, psychology, and all things personal growth. And today I want to talk about two-way prayer, which has been one of my primary spiritual practices for years. And I want to share with you what two-way prayer is, how to use it, and some of the benefits that I've received from it over the years. And it is often said that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening. And I did a podcast on that, number 135, Prayer versus Meditation. If you want to go a little deeper into some different perspectives on prayer versus meditation. And two-way prayer is a pretty simple and straightforward way to engage in a conversation with the divine or your own higher self that doesn't require anything but a paper and pen. So the primary practice of two-way prayer is to write or journal your queries, your issues, your needs, your intentions for others, to write your prayers, and then to allow the universe, God, your own higher self, to respond back to you through your own pen on the paper. And it is quite a potent process to tap into the aspect of God that is always available to us, our own inner wisdom or guidance, higher self, higher consciousness, and to allow that wisdom, compassion, guidance, and unconditional love to flow to and through us, really at any given moment that we make space and place for that to happen. Now, you can do this on a computer or laptop or on your phone, but I find that there's a different voice that comes through writing with a pen or pencil than does through tapping on a keyboard. But you can experiment, and this would be your practice, so follow your own inner guidance of what feels easiest, most effective for you. My experience may not be yours, but if you're open to experimenting, I would encourage you to try both handwriting on paper and writing electronically and see if you notice any difference. Now, I am a firm believer in the idea that easy is right. And so if it's easier for you to write in a notes app on your phone, your two-way prayer conversation, please go right ahead. The creative life force is part of technology, not averse to it, but there is something organically and uniquely present in our own, often messy handwriting that can be an added benefit, calling us into compassion, perhaps confronting our self-judgment or perfectionism about the way that we write. However, if there's lots of unresolved issues around school, or if it becomes a performance idea, this is not an essay to be turned into anyone. This is a conversation with the God or goddess of your own understanding who brought us here naked and to whom we will return in our imperfect, quirky form at the end of our life at whatever age or stage that is. There is no secret keeping from the universe. Many would suggest that anything that we have done, felt, imagined, dreamed, spoken, or experienced is recorded, perhaps in what they call the Akashic records. And being more conscious about our beingness, both past and present, can help us to be much more intentional and aware as we create our own reality through our behavior going forward. And two-way prayer has been a primary personal growth and awareness tool for me for a really long time. And two-way prayer is different than simply journaling for many of us. I've been an avid journaler for most of my life. I've always been kind of a reader and a writer. I was an English major in college, but a lot of my journaling historically was complaining and self-pity. It was a place to express feelings I didn't feel like I could say out loud. And a lot of my journaling through the years has been an attempt to process emotions and experiences that I was challenged to deal with. A lot of it was pretty much a one-way monologue and a feedback loop of my own limited ideas, beliefs, and preconceived constructs. Now, journaling itself was a helpful process in practicing introspection, looking at myself. A two-way prayer opens the conversation and invites the God that lives within me, that voice of wisdom, hope, creativity that was not available to me when I was just running from my intellect or my emotions alone. When we include spirit in the conversation on any level of our life, it's like watering a dry plant or rain on dry ground. Things will grow in unexpected ways when we invite the life force into our inner sanctum. And a sanctum is a sacred place, a shrine, a temple, a sacristy within a church. And two-way prayer invites us into the sacred place within ourselves. So this idea that you are the temple, you are the shrine, you are the primary church of your own spirit. And although certainly it can be incredibly nourishing, connecting, and beneficial to have actual external physical places like a church, a temple, an altar, beautiful spaces in nature where we commune with sacredness and come together in community in that communion, cultivating the temple of sacredness within ourselves is an invaluable and I would say infinite resource that we carry with us always. A well of life-giving water that never goes dry. Now, I've never lived in a house that had a well. I've always had municipal water flowing whenever I turn on a faucet. So I don't know what it's like when a well goes dry, but that must really suck. But I do know what it's like to have a dried up spiritual well. There was not a font of wisdom flowing where I grew up, and there was no inner faucet that I was aware of that I could turn on to be able to receive the courage, encouragement, peace, acceptance, or unconditionally loving guidance that I have now discovered in two-way prayer. And I was first introduced to the idea of writing my prayers through a fictional audiobook. And the main character, Abeline, in Catherine Stockett's 2009 novel, The Help, which was later made into a movie, which I didn't see, but I've listened to the audiobook more than once because it's outstanding. And The Help, if you haven't read or seen it, is about African-American maids working in white households in Jackson, Mississippi during the 1960s. And the main character is a very wise, loving, and selfless woman who writes her prayers. And a lot of her prayers are for other people. And Abeline explains that she finds writing her prayers easier than speaking them because she can express herself more clearly in writing. Now, I'm a big talker. I have almost 240 podcast episodes to date, all monologues. But a different voice comes out in my writing than does in my speaking. And humans are complex. We all have multiple aspects of ourselves, and being able to access all of who we are is incredibly beneficial. Even the parts we don't like, because if we can access even the parts we don't like, then there's something we can do about them. And connecting with higher consciousness, guidance, wisdom, the active imagination is primary to my spiritual psychology work, both in my own practice and in my work with clients. And the spiritual or transpersonal realms include the dream realm, and very much like having a vivid dream, which we promptly forget or lose access to as soon as we have our morning tea, because we've shifted into ordinary consciousness, connecting spiritually through prayer and meditation, which can often offer us actually quite specific information, teachings, or felt experience. It's often lost to our rational mind as soon as we shift back into ordinary reality. That's why I take copious notes when I'm working with other people in their inner journey work. And I'll often read it back to them because I know for myself, because I take detailed notes when I'm doing my own journey work, how easy it is to completely lose access to these incredible gems that are really beneficial in my practical life. So two-way prayer is very simple. Sit down with a journal or notebook and a pen and write your prayers. Write your prayers for yourself, your prayers for others, your prayers for the world. Dump your pain, your sorrow, your fear, your sadness, your rage. Let it flow. The gods and goddesses can handle any emotional material we want to bring, and clearing it out of our body onto paper can be incredibly beneficial just in itself. So write until there's nothing else to write, and then wait for a response. And let the response flow through you, through your pen, onto the page. And we are all always connected with divinity, just as we are held to the earth with gravity, drinking and excreting the life force of water that flows through our body, and breathing life-giving oxygen in and out every moment. We are all an inextricable part of something larger than ourselves, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And two-way prayer is a very direct way to access that connection that's available to anyone willing to try it. So I encourage you to get a paper and pen, or whip out your phone and tablet and try some two-way prayer. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to share your experience with two-way prayer, or offer some topics you'd like to hear on this podcast, or to book a free discovery call to see if a block of spiritual psychology work might benefit you in your life, shoot me an email, info@reneemckenna.com. I'd love to hear from you. Blessings on your path until we meet again. This is Renee LaValle McKenna for Spiritual Psychology.